Hey YouTube, today we're going to be continuing the restoration process on this Ibanez GAX50. You can see I've also been doing some customized painting on the headstock. The headstock, I buffed it down, it was pretty crusty, and as I was working it down, I just decided, hey, I'm gonna go full artsy fartsy on this one. And so I've been doing some acrylic painting on the headstock. That's still in process, but I'm about to put the tuners back on it. But the big fun thing is that I'm replacing these stock pickups with a set of Johnny Eleca stainless bar style humbuckers, and very curious to see how they sound. I've been in contact with the company, very nice folks there, and this was the very first. Now, I just got a pedal from Donner, very cool, but the first people to agree to sponsor was actually them, and initially they wanted to send me a different set, but I said, I really want these stainless. That's the one that I said, well, how about you send me, I buy one, you give me one. And so that's where we're starting with them, and very nice folks though, and it's fun that they are excited to see how this turns out and looking forward to seeing the video and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get everything buttoned back up, get it restrung with the stock setup. Now if you go and you look at the rebuild process so far, I've already done some work to this. Functionally speaking, the biggest thing is that I've got this pole piece nice and glued down now, whereas before it was rising up. Previous owner had put big Hawken washers on it, and that's, I actually did a little bit of damage to the finish where it was pinching, but not a huge deal. But now you can see I'm holding up the weight of it. It's not coming out even the slightest bit. So my star bond holding real good there, and you can see I also went ahead and replaced the knobs. So very excited to see. Now I'm going to do this very systematic, more systematic than generally speaking when I'm modding a guitar. I just rip out and put in, but for this one I really want to do a side-by-side comparison so that you can see the stock Ibanez pickups, how they sound, and I'm going to make notes about every channel setting and everything to try to play it, pretty much identical on both guitar or both pickups setups, and that way you can get a side-by-side before and after, and that also giving at least the Ibanez the benefit that it'll be a lower action, that the bridge has been repaired and that it's all been cleaned up and decrustified and restrung and all that good stuff. So that way, because in my initial demo of the guitar, it was used, crusty, and I was just playing it right out of the box like that. But now with proper setup and getting all these issues fixed, we'll see how the Ibanez pickups sound, and then direct side-by-side comparisons with these Johnny Elecas, so stay tuned. So real quick note on the tuners, I decided to go ahead and replace the tuners, and nice thing, refurbing those old ones, now I've got a nice set that I can put on something else at some point. And so one of the cool things about modding is that you play by your own rules. You decide I want to put this in, no, I decide I want to put that in instead. Do it, it's yours, right? So I've got a set of, these are Music Lily. I've used quite a wide range of their products, and I decided to go with the black ones. And functionally, these actually have a more secure setup on the inside than the old ones, so they should be tighter and maintain their tuning stability better. So I'm going to put those in. I just wanted to show you the way that I mount, because you have to get the old bushings out, little pieces where with the vintage style, you have to press those in. And I have a set of these clamps. These soft clamps are great. There's so many uses. So if you're getting into guitar tech stuff, I highly recommend getting a set of these. And basically just, slow and steady is always the name of the game in guitar modding. And just get them, get it roughly seated with your finger, and then press it in with the clamp, and you're good to go. Then it's just a one-to-one swap, putting them in and mounting them. So let's talk a little bit about the pickup that I'm going to be putting in this Ibanez. These are Johnny Eleca stainless block pickups, and I'm very interested to see how they sound. The design of them, the aesthetic look of the brushed stainless really attracted my attention, It's got a very classic brand logo and so forth. I didn't know anything about them. I just saw them on eBay and reached out to the company. And again, this is like half sponsored, where they said they were low on their stock of these, so they offered to give me a different pickup. I said, but this is the one I would like to install. So I worked out, how about I buy one and you guys send me one? And that's what we worked out. So this is the PGH 2N SS. The SS would be for the stainless. So this is the PGH series, and they are they're vacuum wax potted, and I've been looking at them. Now these do have, you'll see, even though they don't have the pole pieces on the front, they do have the pole pieces in there. It's just they're hidden, right? Because you've got the stainless block. I was also, a couple things and you can see how I've been getting the Ibanez restored in my last video when I chose these. You can see my unboxing of them. I was very impressed that they come in an actual hard case, nice foam pack. It's also really cool that you can use this box as it looked like. I was like, that reminds me of trading card boxes, and sure enough, you can use it for CCG as well. So I'm going to give these to my son so he has some Pokemon boxes. Packaging and everything in there. I will say that it would be nice if they put some branding information in there, because in conversation with the fellow that I've been talking to at the company, he told me about the company, and it's a General Electric's company, Eleca, Wuhan Eleca. It's a Chinese company. It goes back to '95, but they're this guy, Mr. Johnny, they call him, started the pickup brand in this company because he was big into music and everything, and he was really interested in the American electric guitar experience, and so he came over to America. He studied with some builders over here and learned a lot about the trade, went back and started designing his pickups. That's the background story. And so the pickup line started in 2011. But again, it is a Chinese brand. I don't know much about the rest of the company. I was looking at their website, and they have it looks like a lot of AV tech type offerings, and I was very impressed with their website. They have an actual legitimate website. If you go to Eleca.com, they have a very nice website, and so they have some very interesting offerings. Again, my interaction with them was primarily because I browse eBay for finding these budget gems and restoration specials and so forth, and I had seen them on there, and so very interested to see how this sounds. I like what I've read from what he sent me about the company. One thing, the lead is a little bit short, so it would be nicer to have a little bit longer lead, but otherwise I thought the construction was very nice, particularly the way that they dressed the ends on the wiring. And this is a 5-wire, and so you've got the 4 plus the thick ground. And so you can do a lot with these, and there's quite a bit of range in terms of between the bridge. So here's the bridge pickup, and my guess is that this one might have actually been their show model in terms of what they took pictures of, because the plastic was already off. But normally it would come with the plastic on it, and so this is the PGH 1B, and so I tested them out. Now, do note that there is range in doing the electro testing based on conditions. So things like weather and humidity and temperature will affect the sum, but you can at least get a general sense, right? And so this one measured out at 7.2 kilo ohms, and this one 16.8. So that is a lot of divergence, which is good, because that means that it's going to give you a much more distinctive sound. Now, let me tell you real quick about my philosophy on which one goes in the bridge and which one goes in the neck, because my philosophy is backwards from the standards, and that is, so you've got the vintage tone. Now, output is not only determined by your resistance. There are a number of factors, including the kind of wire, the thickness of it, the number of wounds. So there are other factors, but the resistance will give you a general sense. Lower numbers, particularly for a humbucker like a 7.2, that's going to be a very vintage sounding tone. It's going to have more of a classic tone. Early humbuckers were around 8. okay, and like 7 to 9 range. And so this is going to give a very vintage tone. The 16.8 is going to give a much heavier tone, a tone that you can feed through effects, more powerful tone, that sort of, thicker, heavier tone. So here's my thinking. Like, generally speaking, like this one, the high output, the 16.8, is the B. That would be the bridge, right? But here's the thing. In terms of the way electronics work and all of this, right, the more vintage tone is going to emphasize the trebles, okay, and it's going to have crisper, brighter, higher tones. Think of a single coil. Single coils are typically even lower. They're like 6 to 8, generally speaking. You can get high output ones, but classic single coils. And so a 7.2 is going to be closer to a single coil sound. Well, the thing is particularly with the way I play, I want my bridge to be very twangy. And part of it is just some basic physics. The physics of it is that your higher strings vibrate at a higher frequency, and so the vibration is shorter. It doesn't vibrate as far side to side. And so that is going to be emphasized the closer you get to the bridge. This is why the bridge is considered the treble pickup and the neck is considered the bass pickup, because the bass string, you can physically see it wah, 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 going back and forth, and so it is much more emphasized. It is creating more power up here than it is down here. And that's why your lead position, so-called lead position, the treble, the bridge, this one, generally speaking, you're not going to get as deep of a response from the bass, but you're going to get really clear, bright, twangy tones up here. So going back to the pickup, when you have a lower resistance, a more vintage tone, a lower output, it is going to emphasize clarity over power and density. Okay, so it is going to give you more treble response. Again, much like a single coil. So I want that because I want my twang to be emphasized on the bridge, and I can get that country twangy tone. The higher output bridge, the higher output is going to emphasize the deeper tones. The bass tones are going to come through thicker and more powerful, and it'll be able to handle effects better. And for me, when you're playing rhythm and so forth, you want it to blend into a wave of sound and not be as clear. You don't want the clarity as much when you're playing rhythm, when you're playing up on the neck. So and there's like a community of people out there that are like, why do we say that this is the neck and this is the bridge? It ought to be that way around. So that's the way I'm going to mod my guitars. That's the way I did it. You can check out I got a very cheap Silvertone, Samick era Silvertone. It's a Les Paul with Les Paul in it. Check that out. I rebuilt that, put a Gibson humbucker in it, and I put the vintage Gibson in the bridge, and it gives that jangle, crisp, country southern rock, and you can get some tremendous blues and stuff out of it. And then I put a much higher end, I think it was 16.2 or so, it was in that same range as this one, up in the neck, and gives really deep, resonant, driving rhythm. So that's my preference and why I do it that way. Alright, so I've got the new pickups in there. And I want to emphasize I used all the same wiring. I didn't change anything in terms of the wiring, the switches, the knobs, or anything. So this is the same exact setup as the stock pickups that I'm doing tone comparisons with. And I just spliced in, I just, gently tore the wire out of the old one and, just wired in the new one. Now, thankfully, again, my only complaint about the pickup is just that it doesn't have a lot of lead, which isn't a huge deal. If you need to go longer, you can just splice in more wiring. It's not a huge deal. But, it was like, it could not have been any more exact. You see that one going across there for the neck pickup. It was to the centimeter. It was, just enough. Thankfully, so I didn't have to splice, but it's not a huge deal to splice in extensions if you need to. While you're in there. But I've got it all set up and I'm about to get it all packaged up. One thing that I do when I put in new pickups is once I've got it wired, before I get everything finished and all that, even before I tape off the red whites, which are combined out of the box, you can tape those off. Those are if you want to do coil split or if you're trying to do parallel. They're different wiring stuff. But for basic wiring, the old ones that came out were just a basic 2-wire. This has got the 5-wire, so it gives you more options. But if you're not doing anything else, then you basically treat it like a 2-wire, and you have the red and the white that are out of the box soldered, and you just tape them off. So I got them taped off. I always check before I do everything to get it all back together and just make sure I'm getting some sound out of both pickups, and I am. So everything is functional. I'm gonna get it all buttoned up, tuned up, settled in, and see what kind of sounds we can make out of these new Johnny Eleca pickups. Just getting it tuned up again, settled in, and getting my first tones out of it. Before I get to the, side-by-sides, I just want to give you my first impressions. I'm very, very impressed. These are Alnico 5s, and they got, right now I'm in the middle, there's like a great twangy spank to them. And once again, with having the lower output on the bridge, I like the vintage tones when I'm playing lead more. That's just my preference. Great twang. Got some really excellent twang. And the neck. You get a lot more of the heavy dark, which for me, I don't like a really high amount of treble in my rhythm playing. So anyway, I just, I'm going to start doing the side-by-sides, but initial impressions, I mean, these are really, really nice pickups. I love the look of them. Stainless, very quality. I could, all the manufacturing I could look at, it was very quality, very well done. I did have to pinch a little bit and trim the dog ears on the bottom, where they screw in, just for the cavity, because I didn't want to have to expand the cavity on the body. That's, just some little bit of, fine tuning, but overall, I'm very impressed. So we'll see how it sounds side by side compared to the original stock Ibanez. Alright, so for my demo setup here today, I'm running through my Mustang modeling amp, my Fender Mustang modeling amp, and I will tell you basically the settings and levels that I'm running through, and then do side-by-side clips. So first thing is just some, pentatonic runs. This is, for me, just a baseline of tone. And so I've got everything on this set at about 8. And again, we're running right now on the bass man. Right now we're on middle, so this is both. Alright, now some runs with the Johnny Elecas. quick note, I'm getting that sitar harmonic with this guitar in some of the tone clips, particularly working up high on the high E string. And if you get a like whang, that harmonic sitar sound, it's either going to primarily be coming from the nut or from the bridge saddle. And in this case, because it happens primarily when I'm fretting a note and higher up, it doesn't happen so much open. I know it is the bridge, and I've begun, working it a little bit, but I didn't want to do too much work to it because I wanted the tones to be, side by side, and this had that going into it. So when you hear that little bit of shrillness, that's not the pickups, that is the bridge, and I need to work the groove on the saddle a little bit to get rid of that. Usually a little bit of filing and cleaning, just very lightly. There's something in there that it's hitting up against and causing that harmonic. So just quick note. Okay. Now we'll go up to neck. Now up to the neck. Hear that nice deep bass response. Bridge. So there's your sort of twangy setting there. All right, and let's go on up to the lead. Great, just that vintage twangy tone. I think playing it, the biggest difference I'm noticing is if I pushed the Ibanez's, they would tend to start moving into muddy, crunchy territory, whereas this is... It's got a lot more tonal clarity, for sure. Alright, now we are on the twin reverb setting. I'm on the 60s British channel now. This is a high effects channel, so I've got it toned way down to about 3 or 4. Alright, so that was on both. That's on neck. I'll go down to bridge. Alright, back to the middle, and we are now on the supersonic channel. So what do you guys think of the rebuild so far? What do you think of the choices I've made, and how did you like the sounds on this? This was the first time I did like a really systematic side-by-side, and really curious to see your guys' feedback on this. I always love to hear your comments, and just really enjoy hearing from you guys. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. We've got guitar giveaway going on. We've got all sorts of stuff happening, so check in with the channel, see what's happening, and you'll have a wonderful day.